Mark Forrest.
BBC Radio Cornwall.
It's you and me together for one more hour. Some excellent tunes to play. You've got Queen next and a sprinkling of some of the more interesting tales of the day. Back in the day before laptops, tablets and smartphones, if you wanted to check the weather, book a holiday or even play an online game, well, you looked to Teletext. Ceefax and Oracle may have closed down, but not everyone's given up on it, as you're about to hear. And fancy owning one of Cornwall's much-loved landmarks? Find out what 2.8 million will get you before 10. Now, if you mourn the loss of Teletext, Ceefax, Oracle from our screens, an artist from Wigan is bringing the memories back to life. Dan Fadimond is a multimedia artist and he's recently become the artist in residence at a German TV station. He'll explain more on that in a minute, but first I've got to tell you about this drawing that Dan's done for me, and if you've looked at the Facebook page you will have seen it already, facebook.com/Mark Forrest Show. What he's done is just looked at the pic that was there, the profile pic, top left of the page. A sort of fairly mediocre photograph that was taken by the BBC of me about 2 weeks before the show started, so we'd have something to print on cards and put on web pages. Anyway, 4 years on, it's still there. Anyway, Dan has done a really amazing pixelated version of it, which makes me look way, way better than the real photograph. So Dan, who's on the line now, thank you very much. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, and it's absolutely no problem. Anytime, anytime.
Tell me how you made it. It's really exciting. It's really interesting. It's innovative.
Well, I kind of use a mixture of older and newer software, really, to make my teletext art. I start off in a modern image editing program, put in the basic building blocks, and then import it to my teletext editor for addition of really advanced features like colour and flashing text.
There's all sorts of things you could do in your art. Why teletext art?
That's a very good question. I think there is definitely a nostalgia factor, and that's the first thing that many people point to. And yeah, that's definitely the case with me. I have to admit, the familiarity that only 10 years of solid teletext use can bring, I think that's why I chose teletext art over, say, Nintendo art or Atari 2600 art. But I think also I like the quintessentially British sense of humour that teletext art has. As a gallery piece, teletext art began as a sort of ironic joke in itself. Hey, we've got this new HD technology. Oh, let's go back to the 70s and make this low-resolution art.
I mean, are you still mourning the loss of teletext? It was a big deal to some when it was turned off.
Well, I didn't at first, really. I didn't miss it at first because I had the internet. But then, this thing called the International Teletext Art Festival taught me that I really did miss it. And there was a big hole left in my life, and I had to get back into it. So I think, yes, secretly I was mourning the loss of teletext.
Does it exist anywhere else in the world still? Have other nations hung on to it?
Teletext is primarily a European thing. It was invented right here in the United Kingdom, and it's still widely used in Germany, in Scandinavia, in Spain, Portugal, France, lots and lots of different countries. Yes, they're slowly being switched off, but still, millions of people all around Europe still use traditional analog teletext.
Well, that's good to hear. What does it mean to become the artist in residence at a German television station?
It means very, very much. I would equate this as being given the same post at Ceefax here in the UK, which is the largest public broadcaster. So it's a massive honour to be broadcast around Europe, not just in Germany, but I believe in parts of France as well, for this specific residency with Artetext.
What will you have to do?
I am creating at least one new piece of teletext art each day, and so far I've created maybe about 20 across the course of 12 days, and I hope to make maybe 60 in total. But these are reacting to news pieces that are posted on our day text, and also just things happening in the general webosphere.
Amazing. When you used it, and I know you said that you sort of didn't use it for quite some time until you'd realised that it was going, and then you thought you might like it more than you would miss it. What did you use it for? Were you one of those that sort of scrolled through looking at the news or holidays or games or what?
I was a sports guy, so I would always punch in 341 for the latest England cricket scores, or 302 for the latest Wigan athletic scores.
That's what I really like. It was what everybody always knew the numbers of their favourite pages.
Yeah, but they always changed is the thing, and they were different between the different channels. And some people out there, not I, but other anoraks, fantastic anoraks, can actually just reel off the individual numbers on every single service.
I have to track some of those down for the show. Well, you probably meet them at this festival that you're helping to organise. This is going to celebrate Teletext. Tell me about it.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to this. On the 1st of October, at the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge, we will be hosting the first ever Digitiser Teletext Festival. And this is to celebrate all things Teletext. It's so popular that we've already sold out all the tickets. All the 120 tickets went very, very quickly, which I was in a way very surprised about, but in a way smug about.
No, good to hear. Well, who needs Star Trek conventions when you can go to a Teletext conference? And for goodness sake, this is amazing.
Yeah, of course.
Let's hope it's the first of many.
Yeah. I was speaking about this the other day, and I would sort of equate it to the same sort of size as the Red Dwarf Con. I've forgotten what it's called. Dimension Jump, that's it. Same sort of geekiness, same sort of size.
Great comparative. Now I have a perfect sense of what this is going to be like. Dan, clearly it's going to be a success. You're a sellout already, so good luck with the festival from the 1st of October. Thank you once more for creating my own little piece of multimedia teletext art. Dan Faramond from Wigan, going to be in Germany for goodness knows how long as an artist in residence for German TV. If you wanted to see more of his work, search Mark Forrest Show on Twitter and on Facebook, and I'll put some links there for you. While you're doing that, it is great fun, by the way. Enjoy Simon and Garfunkel. Simon and Garfunkel and Mrs. Robinson. Before that, you were hearing about a Teletext festival kicking off on the 1st of October in Cambridge. Sold out already. Sort of the equivalent of a Red Dwarf convention, according to the organiser. Do you have happy memories of Teletext, CFAX, Oracle on the other side? Maybe used for booking holidays, maybe for checking the latest on your sports team, maybe playing some of the quizzes that they had. There was a time, you may remember, when it was at the cutting edge of technology. Mort Smith was the first full-time journalist at CFAX. He's on the line. Mort, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing, Mark?
Very well. How did you get the job? I mean, did you know within the BBC much about CFAX when they hauled you into it?
I hadn't a clue what it was all about. I was working for a local paper in West London, and I got a bit bored with subbing pages on this paper, and I looked at a magazine called the UK Press Gazette, which was a trade magazine for journalists, and there was an advert there for BBC CFAX. And I hadn't got a clue what CFAX was, but it had the magic 3 letters BBC in front of it. And I'd always wanted to work for the Beeb, so I applied for the job and was lucky enough to get it.
And once you were there, what did they tell you the job entailed?
Basically, taking in wire service copy from the BBC's own GNS news service, from PA, Reuters and other news agencies, and subbing it down to fit onto a teletext page, which was quite a challenge because you probably got between 70 and 80 words. And to summarise a story, quite complex stories sometimes, in 70 or 80 words was quite a challenge, but great fun doing it.
Was it a big operation? Did you have huge offices, many staff?
We were working out of a broom closet on the 7th floor of Television Centre. And in the early days, you could only have 24 pages on air at any one time. And each time one of the journalists, there were 4 journalists originally working on CFAX, each time we wanted to write a new page, we had to type it into a special computer on the 7th floor, finish it, make a punched tape of the page, run down 3 flights of stairs to the central apparatus room, read it through a tape reader, and then push a button to put it on air. So it wasn't exactly high-tech at that point. It got better as the years went past.
And when you started, I mean, how many people could actually receive this service?
When it first started, there were 4 teletext sets in the United Kingdom. The Director General of the BBC had one. The Director of Engineering, Jimmy Redmond, had one in his home. The BBC Research Department at Kingswood Warren had one. And the editor of CFAX, a lovely man called Colin McIntyre, had one in his home. And he used to use it as a private message service. He used to get us to put a page up at the back of the magazine to tell his wife when he was leaving to come home for dinner. It was wonderful. Amazing.
Very early sort of text home, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm on the train, I'm on my way. How much?
Really interested, actually, to hear Dan talking about his appointment as the artist in residence. One of the other things that I did after I left the BBC was to run a teletext service called Foretel for Channel 4 when that started. And we actually had something there called Gallery, where we invited members of the public to design their own teletext graphics. And we used to send out packs to people with coloured pens so they could produce their own teletext graphics, send them back into us, and we'd create them and put them on air. It was a wonderful way of involving people.
I do remember that. How much of an issue was the choice of colour when you were setting up the service, when colour TVs were becoming more prevalent?
Well, basically, you had 7 colours with teletext. Well, 8 if you include black. So you weren't exactly spoilt for choice. And in terms of the text on teletext, you could only really use white, yellow, green, or cyan, which is a light blue, because if you used the red or the dark blue or the purple, nobody could read it.
How much of a rolling news breakthrough service were you? Because, of course, we didn't have social media. We couldn't go and look at the BBC News website. Did you get news out there ahead of any other part of network TV?
It was part of the joy of working for CFAX in the early stages, because it really was the fastest medium around back in the 1970s and the early 80s. And it was a joy, being part of that. If a major news story broke, the existing broadcast television channels used to have to wait to break into a program to get new news on the air. Obviously, with CFAX, we could get it on the air straight away. And that was very satisfying. The other thing was that I used to love Saturdays at CFAX, because that meant trying to get the latest football results and scores on air as soon as possible. And there was always a lot of competition between the chaps in the CFAX newsroom and those at Oracle over at ITV as to who could get the scores up first. And we normally used to win.
That was my next question. Oh, that's good. Great to have you on. Happy memories, more. I tell you what, you need to be going down and giving a speech at that conference in Cambridge, seeing as you know more about this than anybody else in the country.
I've spent a lot of my life working in teletext, and it was great fun. And it's lovely to be able to reminisce like this.
Likewise.
So thank you for the chance.
No, it's been great fun. Thank you so much, Mort. Mort Smith, first full-time journalist at CFAX.